How do you stay consistent with recording your podcast while you're traveling or moving from place to place? Let's get into it on today's episode. Welcome back to the show. My name is Simona Costantini, and I'm the founder of Volt Productions, a full-service podcast production agency helping entrepreneurs and small business owners to launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts. If this sounds like you and sounds like something you need help with, please feel free to book a discovery call. The link is in the episode notes below. I would love to chat with you. I would love to meet you and hear about all it is that you're creating and how we can help you do so. Now, today I want to talk about how to keep your podcast going while you're traveling. If you know me in real life, or maybe this is the first time we've met, hi, hello, I travel a lot. I am always in between places. I travel between Canada and the US quite a bit. My partner lives in the US and I live in Canada. So we're kind of always going back and forth. And I'm definitely always going back and forth. So whether it's to spend time in the US with my partner, or if I'm just traveling around to speak at different conferences or events or meeting with clients, I feel like I can be at any place at any time. And so one of the things that I've had to learn how to do over the last few years is be consistent with my podcast recording, even if I wasn't in my home studio. So if you're watching this video today, you'll see and you'll notice that I'm not in my usual setup. I'm not in my usual background. I'm not even using my usual mic, to be honest with you. And I think that all of this stuff is totally okay. You're always going to have the people that are going to plan really, really, really far in advance and, record their content months and weeks in advance in order to just kind of mitigate, I guess, if you will, like any risks if you're traveling, okay? I try very hard to be that person, but with the production work that we're doing and a lot of the stuff that we do day in and day out, and how we continue to shift and change content and tweak things so that they're relevant. I love to put out episodes that are actually relevant for people and not make it feel like it's canned or something that's pre-recorded, if that makes any sense. So a lot of the times, especially if I'm spending 2 or 3 weeks somewhere, I don't necessarily have the capacity to record 4 or 5 episodes right off the bat to get me through the next month. But sometimes I will have the capacity to record 2 or 3 or just 1 or whatever that looks like. There's always going to be people who plan way ahead or 2 or 3 months ahead with their recording. And if that is you, I am so proud of you because that is a really difficult thing to do. And I am not always that person, and that's okay. So let this be your permission slip to not feel like you have to record every single thing in advance, and just know that it is okay to record things as you go. The biggest thing is having a setup that travels with you. That is the biggest key success to podcasting while you're traveling. So I've made my setup super, super simple. I have my laptop with me and I use a MacBook, just like regular MacBook. And I have this light. It's like a square light. It clips onto the top of my computer and it allows me to have lighting wherever I go. I love ring lights. I love softbox lighting. I love all of that stuff. And I have it set up in my studio. But when I'm not in my studio, I need a solution for lighting that's going to be quick and efficient and give me the results that I need. So that is what I'm using today. It's close enough that it lights everything up, and then you can adjust the color temperature as well. So I can make it a warmer light if I want to. I can make it a whiter light if I want to. I can make it brighter. I can make it softer. So I find it really versatile and really, really, really easy to use. But on top of that, the key with different equipment is that you want it to be small enough that you can actually travel around with it, right? If you have all of this equipment and it is so big and it is so clunky, it's not going to be easy for you to set up your set. So my very first tip on that is the lighting. And honestly, this thing is about like this big. It's so small and it breaks down even smaller, which is amazing. And I can very easily just put it in my backpack and travel away with it. The next thing is your mic. So of course you want to have a good microphone when you're recording, no matter where you are. Now, I'm not always 100% the best at this. And I definitely have recorded 1 or 2 episodes over the years, maybe a handful, maybe 5 episodes over the years that were not on a professional mic. And it happens, right? We just make do with what we have. Having that said, usually I'm recording off of my Shure MV7, which I absolutely love that microphone. Today, I'm using a different microphone. It's actually my partner's because he has his stuff here set up as well. But my microphone is usually what I bring with me. And what I love about it is that I can twist it off of my mic arm, which I have set up in my office, in my studio. And I purchased this small table stand on Amazon. I think it cost me like $15. And I can screw that in to the bottom of my microphone. And now it can stand on the table no matter where I am. So I've recorded in hotel rooms with this microphone. I've recorded at the kitchen table with this microphone. I've recorded in different office spaces with this microphone. And what I love about it is that it always sounds good. It always sounds clear and it always sounds crisp. So that's my recommendation for a microphone. So we've talked about lighting. We've talked about your microphone. Next, you want recording software that is easy to travel with. So recording on things like Riverside FM or, for example, Descript, which is where I'm recording this today, is way more efficient than taking the DSLR, packing it in your bag, and pulling it over here in the whole 9 yards. I'm not saying that it's ideal to not record in your usual setup, but when we travel, we just have to make do with what we have, right? So I use the camera that's embedded in my computer that I purchased in 2024. But when I have the better lighting, the correct lighting, it helps the picture so much. It looks way less grainy and it just is easier to use. So I have a webcam as well, and you can totally have a webcam that's smaller that you attach to the top of your computer that you just put into your backpack or whatever it is you're traveling with, and you can set it up really easily. Now, these are the 3 components that you need, right? Lighting, source for video, and a microphone. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be all this extra stuff. It doesn't need to be all of this equipment that is so incredibly professional. It can just be perfect the way that you have it. So that's what I use for tech. Now let's talk a little bit about actual set. So you want to make sure that wherever it is you're recording, you find somewhere that has a nice backdrop, something that is clean, something that is clear, something that is going to not reflect a lot of light back to you. So some of the things that I've seen with clients that travel who record their podcasts in different locations, you always want to make sure, especially from a lighting point of view, if you don't have a light that travels with you, you want to make sure that you are set up facing the window, facing whatever natural light source you have. You want to face that because that's going to help brighten up your picture and it's going to give you a way, way, way better end result. Lighting is something that is harder to adjust in post-production. And so typically what you see on screen is what is being recorded. So if you don't have your lighting set up in advance, and if it doesn't look good before you hit record, it's probably not going to look great once it's recorded. So just keep this in mind as you're recording and as you're setting up your space. You want to make sure that you're either facing a window or you have blinds closed and you have your own light source in the front, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. So if you look in my backdrop, if you're watching this on YouTube and you look in my backdrop, you'll see a curtain behind. So that's a door. And the curtain is closed. And so this helps control the light source and helps me not look completely washed out on the screen. In addition to that, you also want to consider your overall location. Are you recording in areas that have really hard floors where sound is bouncing off the walls and off the hard floors, flying up into the ceiling and so on? Having a good microphone and traveling with your good microphone will definitely help you overall. And also you want to be mindful that the sound quality might sound a little bit different if you're traveling, especially if you're not in a treated room. And that's okay. For example, even in this type of episode that we're doing today, I would rather share this information with you and you feel confident to take your skills on the road and not hold up your whole production process or not feel like you need to get every single task done before you leave. And if it means that your audio doesn't sound as warm as it usually does, in my opinion, I think that that's okay. There's a lot of people that'll disagree with me, but I'm very much of the mindset of done is better than perfect. And I would much rather see you put out that episode that really speaks to your heart and soul and get it out into the airwaves with a good sounding audio, good lighting, and a good set. So not compromising on quality, but also just giving yourself a little bit of grace and knowing that it's probably not going to sound the exact same as what it sounds like when you're in your home office or in your home studio. So we've talked about the tech. We've talked about your set. Now let's talk about your content. When we talk about content, keep it simple. I want you to really consider having a podcast production schedule. This will help you stay aligned to what it is you are recording and when. And why this is so important is because a lot of the times, if we're moving around from place to place and we're going to a lot of different places in a short amount of time, we don't always have our episodes top of mind. We don't always know what we're going to be recording and when everything is going out. So save yourself the mental space and help yourself by pre-planning what you want your episodes to be over the next few weeks, over the next few months. Doesn't mean you need to record everything in one sitting today, but just be a little bit graceful with yourself. And also, I think that there's this element of reality, that people are real people at the end of the day, which is why I like podcasting from different locations, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And you don't have to pretend that you're sitting in your office when you're not, even if you're in the process of moving. Now, I want you to just consider the background and make sure that everything looks nice, make sure that everything looks clean. Don't let that be the thing that stops you. I truly believe that when we have inspiration and when inspiration hits, we don't need to wait a week until we're home and in our perfect studio if we don't want to. Now, if you do want to because you want to be disconnected and not be podcasting at all while you're away, then totally fine. But if you want to sit down and you want to hit record, do that, just know that you have tools and you have options in different ways that you can get your content out there, and you can record your podcast in a way that sounds really good and also looks really good. So I'm going to leave you with these 3 tips today. Take a look at what your equipment looks like. Figure out what your set is going to be in these different locations. And then the third thing is planning your content in advance. It's going to save you so much stress, so much headache, and just so much overwhelm if you know what you're sitting down to record. Tell me what tip here is your favorite. Put it in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. Send me a message on Instagram. And if you've never rated and reviewed this show and you enjoy it, please give us a 5-star review and leave us a comment. I would just love to know what you think of the show and how this is helping you in your podcast journey, your production journey, and your overall entrepreneurship journey. Don't forget to book a discovery call if you want to dive even deeper. And I will see you on the next episode.